Bags down, spikes on. Welcome to the track. My name is Colin Waitsman. I'm going to be your host for this brand new podcast journey with Track World News. I'm super excited about it. In this show, we're going to be breaking down some of my hottest takes in the sport of track and field, upcoming meets, Olympics, everything that has to do with the sport. It's going to be really exciting, and I can't wait for you guys to join us. Today's got a really great episode. We're going to be talking about a breakdown of the Diamond League. We're going to be looking at the London Marathon, what happened to Eliud Kipchoge in his disastrous race, as well as who is going to be taking Usain Bolt's space as the face of track and field. Now, let's start with the 2020 highlights. This was a wild year, to say the least. I didn't really know what to expect once we saw meets getting canceled right at the beginning of the year when the NCAAs were happening. Literally, there were athletes there ready to compete for the meet, and they were like, yep, nope, you're not going to be competing, even though you're all here and everyone is warming up and the meet is tomorrow morning. You're done, you're not competing, which was wild to see in this year because no one knew what was going to happen. No one knew how long it was going to be. Obviously, we know what happened with the rest of the season. Outdoors was canceled, and meets were almost all but canceled, if not canceled, changed. We did have a few Diamond League meets, as well as a few different road races and other meets going on. Nowhere near as exciting as it normally would have been, but still a good competition nonetheless. Fairly good year, for all intents and purposes. We saw 11 world records go down during this year, 7 on the men's side, 4 on the women's side. Most of them were in the distance category. We saw the 5K, 220, the 20K, well, the 1 hour race, which was interesting to see for Mo Farah. I'm sure we'll get into that at a later episode. 300 meter hurdles, pole vaults, 5K road race, 10K road race on the men's side, as well as the 1 hour race on the women's, the 4x1500, the only relay race, which was interesting to see. We didn't see a lot of relay races this year. And then we also saw the half marathon for both the half marathon mixed and then the half marathon women's only. So a lot of different distance races and still a fair amount of world records that went down. It was an interesting year to say the least, and it'll be cool to see what happens with indoors. I mean, I'm not sure if they're even going to have it or what it's going to look like. I'm sure they could probably do something similar where it's only athletes and no fans in the stands and maybe a limited capacity. Who knows? We know that as of this date, there are not a lot of fans that attend meets anyway, so it's not like we're going to be making so many fans upset. The only real issues that we have would be with the Olympics and Olympic trials, maybe some world championships, but that's in the future. We have nearly a year till you have to worry about that, so who knows what's going to happen. But from now on, we should be good. We'll see what indoors holds. There's going to be a couple months for that. Cross country is going on right now. There's a lot of different high school, colleges, as well as the professional level competing, and then marathons, of course. There's always going to be athletes doing that. Speaking about marathons, let's get into the London Marathon. Kipchoge, he was defeated for the first time in 7 years, ending his 10-race winning streak. He came in 8th place. This was shocking for everyone because obviously being the first man to break 2 hours in the marathon, finally going down, no one saw it coming. He was the most dominant athlete in the sport. To put into perspective, the next longest streak that anyone has in the marathon was a win streak of 6. And so for him to have a 10-race winning streak over the course of 7 years is insane. It's really great. Obviously, these don't take into account the 2 hours, the two competitions that he did to attempt to break the 2-hour marathon. That doesn't count because those weren't real competitions or sanctioned competitions. They were an event to try to see if humans can break it because there were different rules, and I'm sure that you guys know what's going on there. But it was a wild race. He came in 8th. He fell back in the pack on mile 24 and never really recovered. It was a bad weather. It was rainy, cold, and windy. Really wasn't a good race for him. And yeah, when he fell back from the first 8 or so competitors, he never recovered. Shura Katada, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but he won by 1 second. It was a really close race for the front pack, but it was interesting seeing Kipchoge go down. Shows that he's human, and that he can be beat. That he's not this this immortal man that is that can't be beaten. He has weaknesses as well. So that was interesting. On the women's side, it really wasn't even really a guess. I mean, really wasn't even a guess. Bridget Kosgei, the world record holder, demolished the competition by, I think it was 4 minutes. She ran a time of 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 58 seconds. Repeat winner of the London Marathon. I mean, she's unstoppable right now. In the super long distance marathon, half marathon distance, there's no real competitor for her. She's just beating the competition left and right. Be interesting to see what she does with the rest of the season. She's a great competitor. And I love to see where these guys are going. But yeah, so that's the update for the London Marathon. It was on the men's side, really shocking results, and then on the women's side, kind of the favorite going out there and winning it. So nice to see that. So it's cool. Now let's kind of get into what I am sure you all are paying attention for and wanting to see. Who will be the next Usain Bolt? Obviously in 2017, 2016, not sure when I remember his last race was after the Olympics. Usain Bolt retired, and everyone who clearly knows it's not a debate. Usain Bolt was and still is the face of track and field. Even though he's not a competitor, he is still seen as the face of track and field, much like Tiger Woods, the face of golf, Serena Williams, tennis, Michael Phelps, swimming. Like these are names that you easily put to when you hear a certain sport. So who's going to be the next Usain Bolt? And so when I'm taking into consideration, I'm not just saying who's the next fastest man in the world, because I don't know who's going to be breaking Usain Bolt's record. I'm sure we're going to get into that conversation at some point, but that's not what the conversation is today. So who's going to be the next person that is the face of track and field, where when you think of our sport, this is the athlete you think about? So there are 4 different criteria that I'm thinking about. One is skill. You've got to be a great athlete. You can't just be some average Joe that might be really compelling. It's not going to work. You got to be someone that is really talented, whether you are a world record holder, a world champion, you're in the conversation of that. You got to be really talented, obviously. Second is age. I'm sorry, Justin Gatlin, Tyson Gay, you're just too old to be the face of track and field for the foreseeable future. I'm talking about who's going to be taking our sport for the next 10 years, 15 years down the line. So we got to be looking at someone that's a young athlete that's just getting into the sport and has a lot of running ahead of them. The event, sadly, the event's going to take a big consideration in it. You got to be in a marketable event. Obviously, there's some events that are a lot more paid attention to than others. We know sprinting is a much more popular event than distance running. Or jumps for that matter, or the throws, which is unfortunate because there's some talented athletes in those fields, but you got to take that into consideration. Last is going to be marketability. I mean, what is your audience already? Do you already have a large audience? Are you part of a big professional team? Do you have any viral videos? What's your following on social media? All of that stuff to see how you can actually spread, because just being the best athlete isn't good enough. If you want to be the face of a sport, you got to have a personality behind it. You got to be able to be marketable. So those are going to be some big ones. So I have 5 different people that I think can take as Usain Bolt's new legacy, starting at number 5 and then going down to who I think is the best chance of taking Usain Bolt's legacy over. Number 5 is going to be Christian Coleman. He's 24 years old, 100-meter and 200-meter specialist, 3-time world champion, 5-time Diamond League champion, and 3-time national champion for the United States. Currently, he is the world rank number 1 for the 100 meters, so obviously really fast. and he's the favorite to win the 2021 Olympics. He has won, what was it, 3? He has had the fastest time in the world in the 100 since 2017. Dude is electric. He's got a lot of really great speed on him. And he's a Nike athlete, so he's on one of the biggest brands out there in running. So he's got a lot of potential when it comes to there. So why is he so low? He should be higher, right? I mean, he's got 164,000 followers on Instagram. That's pretty good for track and field. That's one of the highest, actually, that's on this list. So why is he only 5th? Well, the big issue comes with the fact that he might be facing a 2-year suspension for missing 3 drug tests over the course of 12 months. For those that don't know, in track and field, you have to be eligible to get a drug test 365 days a year. You have to always be ready to do that. And so the drug administration needs to know where you're at, where your location is at all times. And if they say, hey, we're going to call you in for a drug test, we're coming into your house, you have to be there ready to go. They'll tell you the time, you got to be ready to go. And over the course of 3 or 12 months, he actually missed 3 drug tests. The last one coming in December, I believe it was, of 2019. And it was just because the other ones that he had faced were in April and March of the previous year. So the administration, well, was it not USA Track and Field, but I think it's the Olympic Committee. Sorry if I'm messing up them. There's so many different ones. But they determined that this June, so just a few months ago, that, hey, you're going to have to be suspended up to 2 years potentially. And he's currently in the appeals process for what that's going to look like. We don't know yet when the suspension is going to, quote unquote, start, because he did race after his drug test that he missed in the 2019 World Championship. So the fact that he did compete after that, there's some hair, we're not too sure about that. So usually athletes are only suspended for about a year for something like this. He was in a podcast with Flow Track sometime in June where he talked about it. And if he's suspended for 2 years, it's going to be hard to be the face of track and field missing the Olympics. Then if that happens, that means we wouldn't be seeing Christian Coleman in an Olympics until what? He's 29. He'd be closer to the end of his career than he is the beginning of his career at that point. You can't miss this 2021 Olympics, and especially when it's going to be you're going to be the first person to race and take the 100-meter title after Usain Bolt. Like, no one else has won the title since 2004 that was not named Usain Bolt. And if you're not that guy, then you're not going to be the guy that's going to be the face of track and field. I'm sorry. So that's why you're 5th. I'd love to have him higher, but he just can't be in my eyes. 4th might be a little controversial one, but it's someone that I really think has a potential to be there. It's going to be Matthew Bowling. 20 years old. He currently is a Georgia Bulldog. He's a sophomore. Reason that I have this guy is he is the most viral athlete in track and field right now. He has 177,000 followers on Instagram. He was the first high school athlete to break 10 seconds in the 100. It was wind aided, I do know that, but it's still an insane time nonetheless. He's a 400-meter guy doing the 4x4. He does long jump as well, also the 200. Dude's an animal, workhorse. He can do anything. The reason I said that he has that potential is because he has a ton of viral videos. I'm sure you saw where he was in the 4x4 and he hawks down the competition from like 5 seconds behind. That has over 5 million views. He also does a race against Georgia football recently where he's the anchor leg. That has over 3 million views. And then also his sub 10-second race, that has 1.5 million views. So this guy is viral. He has an opportunity to really make a name for himself if he can live up to the potential, because he's doing all this at such a young age. He really didn't even have a freshman season when you think about it, since it was canceled due to COVID-19. So this guy, not having a huge name and being so viral at such a young age has potential to be the guy moving forward. Now, a big contributor is going to be, what will he do to compete in? Is he going to be competing in the 100, the 200? Is he going to look at the jumps? what's the event that he's going to choose? Because he's so versatile, it's going to be interesting to see what is going to be his event, or is he going to do all 3 of these? So we'll have to see. He's got a lot of talent. He's in some very competitive events, and luckily he's in some of the most competitive events that people watch. So doing that and competing in these are very good. He's a wild card because he is so young and he has so much to prove, but he has potential to be one of the faces of track and field. It's going to be crucial to see if he makes the Olympics in 2021. I think that if he can make it, and I mean, if he doesn't even have to medal, but just making the Olympic team, I think is going to be huge for him, especially being 21 at the time. That's going to be a big crucial point for him in his career. If he would be in the 4x1, I see him possibly being in that. I mean, that's even going to be insane. That's hard. There's so much speed in track and field in the United States. I mean, 9.98 is not even one of the top times. So who knows? It's going to be hard. If he could make the Olympics, fantastic. But it's going to be a real push since he's in such competitive mode. So we'll see. Third, I'm gonna admit there's some bias to it, but I have reasoning for why I choose this man. Third, I have Mondo Duplantis, pole vaulter. Obviously I am a pole vaulter from high school and college, so I have a little bias there, but he's both the indoor and outdoor world record holder at just 21 or 20 years old. In my opinion, he's the best vaulter of all time, and he's only 20. He's not even close to his prime. So he has a lot to improve on. He's undefeated in 2020. He has 8-time Diamond League champion. He's a European champion, as well as so many more different accolades that he has. He's won at the highest level, from everything from competing in middle school all the way to world champion. So he's got a lot. Well, he technically doesn't have the world championship yet, but he will. Promise that he will. He has 229,000 followers on Instagram, so he's got the second most in this rankings. Something that's huge. He's both a Puma and a Red Bull athlete, so having both of those are going to be big time. I think Red Bull is going to be bigger because their marketing. It seems like their marketing push is bigger, has a bigger demographic as well. Most dominant athlete right now in track and field. No one's beating him right now. He has the biggest margin of victory by far, and it's not even close. This kid is electric. He can jump out of the gym every single day of the week. He's the best athlete currently, not of all time. Let's calm down there. Let's calm down a little bit. He's great, but not that great. He just has a ton of dominance, and so that's all helping him a ton. For those that don't know, he has a documentary that is coming out on the way, which is going to be really, really exciting. If you haven't listened to all my other podcasts, Brendan Reddow, I talked with the director of it, and it's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to that. What he has going against him, though, and it's huge. What he has going against him is the fact he's in an unpopular event. Pole vaulting is not that popular, unfortunately. It looks really cool. A lot of people love watching it, but it's not very popular. People don't want to tune in very, very often because, when you're watching track and field, the most popular events that they show are the events that are on the track, because those are shorter. It's people can follow it a lot easier. You don't have to. It's just easier to watch. Unfortunate, but I think that he's starting to show that more people want to watch vaulting, because it's pretty crazy to see people fly over 20 feet in the air with a pole. And so I'm thinking it's going to be getting a lot more playing time. We've seen it in some of the most recent meets, most recent Diamond League meets, that it's getting a lot more playing time. And so that's what I'm hoping for. If it does, then he has the potential to be the face of track and field, because he's so dominant. He's more dominant than Usain Bolt was in running, I would say. Easy, because right now he's beating people handedly, and the only reason that he loses is if he messes up and he loses himself. There's no one that's even close to it. So he has a lot of dominance. So number 2, the second best chance of becoming the face of track and field is going to be Noah Lyles from the U.S. He's 23, 100-meter runner, 9.86 in the 100 and a 19.50 in the 200. Dude's a legend. He's doing very, very well. He's a world rank 1 in the 200 meter. He's 9th in the 100, and he's the second overall world rank when you combine the two. So he's doing numbers. He's really, really performing well. 2020 was his year to really break out, I think, and it was unfortunate that he really didn't have as many meets to compete in. He did very well in 2019, and that's why I was thinking this year is going to be, his new breakout year. Now, the reason that he can really blow up, I mean, from a marketability standpoint, he's got 142,000 followers on Instagram. He's an Adidas athlete. He went straight to the professional level, so he's got a lot of that build up upon him from going from high school to the pros. So that's going to be, he knows what it's like to perform on these stages already. Got a lot of viral videos. He broke Usain Bolt's meet record, which had 2.3 million views. And he also was the golden anchor leg in 2019 when the United States set a new national record for the first time in a long time, which was very, very impressive. And what he's got going for him, I mean, he's the anchor leg in the 4x1. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but when you're the anchor leg, you're the one that's getting all the face time. Everyone sees you. People don't see who the second leg is, the third leg, the first leg. First leg a little bit because you're on the starting line, but the anchor leg's the one that gets all the play time. If you break a world record, it's all because of him. That's who they always look at, because you're the one carrying the baton across the finish line. So that's going to be huge for him right there. He's the favorite to win the 200 in the Olympics for sure. He's the world number 1. He's had the world number 1 for over 80 weeks. He's doing great. And I mean, he even has a real potential to take the 100 as well. Like, he could do a double. It's not going to be an easy double, but he could do it. He's got some real potential there. And another big thing that he has is his personality. I mean, he's got probably the biggest track personality. Whenever you see him lining up, he's always goofing around, laughing. He's having a great time, and that's great. I mean, you don't see a ton of it. You see a lot of people that just wave and say hi and don't do very much. And to see him, actually waving to the crowd, like showing like he's a big anime guy, so seeing him do different things like with Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, it's really cool. It's cool to see. So he has potential to be the face of track and field as well. He's got to have a big Olympics though. He's got to have a big Olympics. So we'll have to see that be the next great sprinter. Really, who knows? And then the number 1, and to me, it's not even close. Like, for this person to not be the face of track and field in the foreseeable future, they would have to really, really mess it up, because they already are the face of track and field. You've seen this person in commercials. You've seen this person in viral videos from 2015 on. It is the biggest name in track and field. The number 1 person that I think will take Usain Bolt's spot as the face of track and field is Sydney McLaughlin. She is easily going to be the biggest name in our sport for the foreseeable future. 21 years old, 400 meter hurdler, runs 52.23. She's done big in the 400 as well. She does a lot of the DMRs and the 4x4s. She's a world champion, NCAA champion, and she was the biggest thing that she has is she was a high school Olympian. She's one of the very few athletes that made the Olympics as a high schooler. That's crazy. she was super dominant from a very young age. And the biggest thing that she has going for her, besides obviously being the biggest athlete and extraordinarily talented, is she's very, very marketable. She has the second most followers of any track and field athlete out there, but right behind Usain Bolt, who has millions. But she has 484,000 followers on Instagram. She's a New Balance and a Gatorade athlete. You've probably seen her in some commercials if you've watched any of the sports returning with like Zion Williamson, Bryce Harper, Della Don, I think even Alvin Kamara, and her. And she's in those commercials doing all those things. She's a huge name, extraordinarily marketable. And I think that this Olympics is going to really solidify her, and this 2020, 2021 will solidify her as the name to follow track and field. She has the We Got Now that's just happened recently this summer. Talking about 2020 and 2021 Olympics. It's got 6 million views. Olympic Trials, where she's a high schooler, it's got 1.6 million views, and then she has a ton of other ones that have over 1 million views. And I didn't even want to count all of them because there were so many. As she's a huge talent, huge name, and it's really, really refreshing for me personally to see that the future face of track and field is going to be female. She's a fantastic example of what it is to be a great athlete and doing it the right way. It's great to see that. Hopefully there will be a female that's going to be the face of a sport, because besides Serena Williams, there aren't a ton where when you think of a sport, you think of her. There's her, and then there's Simone Biles, which is more a female-dominated sport. But this, track and field, for the most part, has been a male-dominated sport for years and years. And so it's nice to see that one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in track and field for the foreseeable future, will be Sydney McLaughlin. So I am super excited about that. Those are my top 5 people that I think are going to take over as the face of track and field with Usain Bolt being retired. Tell me what you think. Who do you think got snubbed? Who do you think was spot on? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? And so tell me what I got. Tell me what I didn't get. If you're looking forward to seeing more episodes just like this, we're going to be dropping every single Tuesday here on the channel, talking about some of the most interesting aspects of track and field. Should I give you a little sneak peek of next week? Yeah, sure, why not? Sneak peek of next week, we have, who is the Mount Rushmore of track and field? The 4 biggest names in our sport. You're going to have to find out next week. Tune in. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram at Track World News. We have a whole bunch of new content coming out there. It's going to be a really great show. Thank you for listening to the very first episode. I've loved it. I hope that you guys did as well. My name is Colin Weitzman. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys on the track. Peace.